Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Getting In, a College Coach Conversation. I'm your host, Ian Fisher. Today, and we've got a really great show that is lined up for you. We're going to be talking a little bit about what it means to be a working parent and supporting your student as they go through the application process. And we'll also handle some of your listener questions. We saw a lot of those came in over the long weekend. I think as we get through Labor Day, people start to realize, oh, wow, it's time to apply to college. We got to get moving here. And so we'll tackle that in our final segment today. But before any of that, we've got a really special guest here on the show. Joining me from the ScholarShare 529 program, which is the California 529 program, we have Yvette Haring, who's a director and a college savings program manager. Hi, Yvette. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me on the show today.
We're really glad to have you on the show. Our finance team connected us with you, and I know that we've done some work on your College Countdown website to share some of our expertise with your families. And we're really glad that you're reciprocating and bringing some of your expertise to our families here today, which is just wonderful to hear. And we're going to spend some time just talking about college saving. I was pretty excited about this because I have a couple of ScholarShare accounts myself. My kids were very small in California when we started thinking about saving for college. And so I want to just start with some of the basics. We're leading here. Why should a parent of a high schooler even think about saving for college? There's so much unpredictability in terms of what the costs will be. These things like student loan forgiveness come into the mix. What's just the fundamental reason for a parent of a student of any age to start thinking about saving for college?
We get this question all the time. And so one of the things I like to share is I have a personal story. So when I opened up the 529s for my nephews and nieces, they were in high school because that's when I discovered them. I've been in the financial industry for probably more than 20 years. And even somebody who's been in the industry was not fully aware of what a 529 is, the benefits and all that stuff, right? So just because I'm in the industry doesn't mean I know, you know everything. But when I came to work for the department at TIAA for ScholarShare, that's when I really discovered what these plans are and how great they are. So I opened it up immediately for my nephews and my nieces. Again, high school, one of them was in elementary. So that one got, is going to benefit a lot more than the other ones, right? Time in the market, right? So the story I'm going to share with you is part of the reason why I think even if they're in high school, even if they're sophomores, juniors, even, seniors, considering opening a 529 saving for those expenses is a good idea. So when I opened the accounts, my sister, single mom, raising 3 kids, working
Tough.
2 jobs, right?
Yeah.
So she did what she could just to make ends meet, right? So I took it upon myself to give her a help, which is one of the benefits of 529s. Anybody can establish it and anybody can contribute, right? So when my niece got accepted to UC San Diego, great. We all celebrated. Awesome. She needed a computer. So guess what? Pull the money from the 529. So I was able to get her top of the line Mac, which is what she wanted, yada, yada, right? Great stuff. She found out that she needed money for her dorm room, like kind of like a down payment to hold it. Okay. Well, it was, couple, maybe 300 or something like that. My sister didn't have it. So guess what? We had the 529. No one had to stress. So we pulled the money from the 529. And all the money that comes out of that 529 when it's used for those qualified expenses, I didn't pay any taxes on it. So I tell people, you never know what they're going to need. You never know if they're going to get a scholarship. You never know if they're going to have, even if they do get a scholarship, like my nephew, who just got accepted to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, he's still going to have to pay $5,000 out of pocket. That 529 that I have for him is going to help him for at least one of those years. And then his parents are going to, help cover other. So when parents are thinking about this, I'd like to give them that example because if it wasn't for that 529, my sister would have tried to figure out how to get that money to get her in that dorm. Yeah. So we didn't have to stress about it, so it gave us that peace of mind. I was able to pull out and I was able to help out with that. Now I wasn't able to pay for her tuition, but I was able to help with those little things that are going to come up that you may not expect. I didn't know that you had to put money down for a dorm room. So that's a perfect example that I like to share with people as this is why it's good to think ahead, save as much as you can when you can.
Yeah, those things do crop up somewhat unexpectedly, don't they? And I
They
think setting
do.
aside the fact, first of all, that your sister has raised some really smart kids to be going to UC San Diego and Cal Poly, congratulations to both your niece and nephew there. You were mentioning what are called qualified educational expenses, right? So most people think that when you're paying for college, they look at the tuition price, maybe they think about room and board, but there are other fees associated with the education that also qualify. And that means that you can use your 529 account in order to pay for those things. Are there some other examples of those qualified educational expenses that people don't initially think of that
Yes.
might be useful for this pool of money?
Thank you for asking that question, Ian. Actually, one of the things that I think we get a lot that people don't know is, tuition, room, board, equipment, like the Mac computer that I talked about,
Sure.
anything that they need for that course. If they're astronomy and they need a telescope, I don't know, that is considered qualified because they need it for that course. But one of the things that people don't consider a lot of time is off-campus living. So even if they don't live in the dorm, but they're renting, an apartment or something off campus, you can use the 529 for room and board. You just have to find out from that school, that institution, what is the cost for off-campus living for room and board, and you stay within those means, and that it would be considered a qualified distribution from a
Wow.
529.
Wow. So that's even if your student does qualify for a full scholarship for tuition, they have hit the books, they, applied to the right school, that school gave them a great scholarship. They still might have to live off campus for a couple of years, and then you can use this money that you've saved towards that.
Correct.
Now, this
Correct.
is so daunting for so many families, I think, because they look at these huge sums of money that go towards higher education these days. And they think, well, I've already, I've got these so many different logins and I've got my bank account. Like, should I really open another account? How does a parent like who's never started saving get past that initial just, it feels like so much. Should I really even be saving? It's just a drop in the bucket, and get started in saving, especially, with the one you have with ScholarShare.
Yeah. So, I'll answer that in a couple of ways. So with
Great.
ScholarShare, we have 6 different consultants throughout the state of California.
Mm-hmm.
And so we host monthly webinars twice a month. So anybody could go and sign up for a webinar, and they're going to learn all about the program, how it works, and things of that nature. We also have the consultants that are available for consultation. So, Ian, if you were one of those parents that I don't know, I have, Bank of America, I have this credit union, I have all this stuff. Why do I need another one?
Yeah.
You could always talk to one of our consultants. They would have a one-on-one consultation with you, help you understand what the 529s, what the benefits, and they would even help you walk you through the process of how to open an account. So it may seem like another account, and I get that, but it is a 529. It's not a checking account. Checkings and savings, you still going to get taxed on any earnings. With the 529, all the earnings that, potential earnings on those accounts are tax-free as they're growing. And when you use it for qualified expenses, you don't pay taxes on those gains. So realizing the benefits, the tax advantages of a 529, I think will help, parents that have that conception of, here's another account I have to establish, and that's something else I could keep track of.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
understanding the benefits that come with it and the tax advantages and why it would make better sense for a 529 versus potentially another savings account. I think that helps kind of open up the idea and get people more comfortable and invest in a 529.
And so correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that you take post-tax money, so money that comes to your paycheck, you goes to your bank account, you then take that money, you put it into your 529 account. And then when you use that money, the earnings or the contributions, you're not paying any taxes on the gains that you've made with that 529 account. But 529s are also investment choices, right? So you get to choose a portfolio to invest in. Some of them are like the ones I'm invested in, ScholarShare, are passive, where you just say, okay, my kid's graduating high school in 2033. I'm going to click that button and that's it. And so the plan automatically will reallocate the risk over time, so that early on it's a lot of stocks, later on it's more bonds, because it's a little bit safer as they get close to college age. What about that risk position, right? So families might say, well, if I keep it in my savings account, I at least know that it's not going to go down. And of course, these investments in 529s are not guaranteed to see gains, but how do you talk to people about that balance of the investment portion of the 529 account as well?
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. We do get a lot of parents that, may not understand investments, may be risk adverse, or,
Yeah.
things of that nature. So, we have investments that are really tailor made to fit any type of individual, whether you're risk adverse or whether you're that type of person that wants to set it and forget it, right? What you were talking about, that is the college, type of college years type of investments, where you just set it up, you don't worry about it, you put your money, and then somebody else is investing for you, right? It starts out more aggressive as the child is further away from college, and then it gets more conservative as they get younger. And then we have the investments for people that want to do it themselves. They may be savvy, they're doing their own stuff on their retirement platform, so they're really comfortable. So we have that. And for those parents that say, I don't want to be in this, stock market, I don't like volatility. Right now, it's really crazy out there, and I just want to keep my money in a savings account. We also have something that's called the principal plus interest, which is a guaranteed account. So think of it as a glorified, checking accounts, or it's actually savings account. You get paid a rate of return. It earns between 1% and 3%. So you're never going to earn less than 1%, but you won't earn more than 3%. And again, like you said, these are post-tax, and any money that you make in any of these accounts, whether it's interest that's being paid in the principal plus account, which is the guaranteed, or any gains that you may potentially make on the stock, you're not paying taxes. So you're allowing this money to grow, tax deferred, compound interest on top of that. And so potentially what it might look like is you have more money to use for those educational costs, because you're not paying taxes on it, because you got those potential earnings that is, not the same as a checking account or a savings account.
That's right.
Savings account paying, I don't even know what they're paying, how low they're paying now, right? It's definitely
It's
not
hard to find good rates
yeah,
out there, even as they go up, right? The banks are
exactly.
quick to cut the rates, but it's hard to get them to go back up when the
Absolutely.
Fed raises. And I've been on the hunt for those. And I think it's great to see that there's these kind of secure, kind of guaranteed returns in addition to the market. One of the things I would say to people, and this is by no means investment advice, right? But when the market is down, that means things are cheaper than they would be otherwise. And you have a very long time horizon if you've got a very young child. You have a
Correct.
shorter time horizon if you've got a 16 or 17-year-old. And so you might think a little bit about that and talk to financial advisors you have, or to the consultants that work with the ScholarShare program. I think, Yvette, a lot of people might be saying, wait a second, what? I don't live in California, so this isn't relevant to me. But one of the wonderful things about these 529 plans is you actually don't have to live in the state in order to participate. Can you talk about what someone who doesn't live in California might think about when they're choosing their 529 plan, and why they might choose California and ScholarShare to host their 529 plan?
Absolutely. So, with 529 plans, there is no residency required. Almost every state has a 529 program. So the first thing we always suggest is look at your home state. What plan do they offer? And I would say most people would want to look at a couple different things. You're going to want to look at the investment options. Do they have options that are, that you are proud of, that you want to invest in? California has ESG, right? So socially responsible investing. If that's what you're looking for, California offers that. You also want to take a look at the fees. What are the fees for this account, right? What are the underlying fees? Is that too expensive in your state? Do you then want to look at other state programs like ScholarShare, which has some of the lowest fees in the country? So you want to take a look at all of that. And then you want to see, what is the buy-in? Do I need to open it up with $50, $100? How much do I need to open this account? Because these accounts may be, the good thing about the 529s is they're very flexible. So with California, you only have to open it up with $1. So that means that opens it up for anybody to be able to open an account like this. And as you start to invest in it, we obviously, the more money that you can put, the better. If you set it and forget it kind of concept, whether you're doing it to payroll or a checking or savings account, that would be great because you're consistently putting money into it. But with the 529, you could always stop, start, you know, whenever you want. So there is no type of penalty to stop contributing for a few months. You got a couple other things that you have to focus on, and then you can start again. But the other good thing, Ian, and I don't know if you're going to bring this up, but you gift.
Yeah, I
Anybody
was going to
can
bring this up.
contribute. Yeah, okay. Anybody can contribute to a 529. Birthday parties, holidays, or just whenever you send your friends this code that doesn't expire, and anybody could put money in that 529. So it's not just about the individual, like an RIA or a 401k. It's all about you putting that money into it for your retirement. 529s is really a community. It's a family, it's friends. Everybody could put money into it. Everybody could help support, you know, that journey that you're saving for that loved one.
That's right. I've got an annual email that I send to the grandparents that says, hey, here's the link where you can go and contribute to the 529 plans for my kids. And so that's always a big help. The great thing also about 529s is that the beneficiaries can change, right? So you can use them for one kid ostensibly, but then that kid gets a full tuition scholarship. You've got money left over. You can actually reassign those funds to another kid or to another family member or to yourself to go back to school. So there's a lot more flexibility with these plans, I think, than people initially think. It's not like a prepaid tuition thing where you have to use it for the school within your state. You can take this money with you to just about any institution that you're going to go to.
Right.
And that's one of the wonderful parts about it.
Yeah. And kind of going back to the residency, even if you don't live in California, but your child decides and you open up your home state plan, because that just makes better sense.
Yeah.
Your child could go to school in California or even abroad or any state really, and then you can use that money to pay for those institutions. So you don't have to stay in your home state or the state that you opened up your 529. So, I mean, there's so many flexibilities with 529s, you know, so it's just a really great program. It's really good. At the end of the day, if it's not a good fit for families, I always tell them, at least now you know what this plan is. And we all know that, you know, education is power. So the more that you know, the more you know. And I think that's part of the big problem. And so I'm really happy to be on the show today to talk about 529s, because a lot of people just don't know what they are and they don't understand how they work. So understanding them and knowing the benefits, I think, helps people open up, just open up their world to a whole different way of investing and, preparing your child for success when they start to, go down the journey of, higher education.
That's right. I think that's exactly right. And I have loved everything I've learned about 529 plans. I was very fortunate when I had my first child that I was about 6 months later started with Bright Horizons College Coach. And so I have benefited from the expertise of my colleagues for the entirety of both of my kids' lifetimes. We want to make sure that everybody else is aware of these opportunities for investments. I have 2 ScholarShare accounts. I've got accounts in Oregon where I live now to get the tax breaks, but then I still contribute to the ScholarShare program because it's one of the top performing programs that you can get. So I encourage everybody to have a look at ScholarShare for their 529 program. That's at scholarshare.com. And then you can also go to savingforcollege.com to learn more about other 529 plans, perhaps in your own state. So get a look at things that are out there, maybe set some time aside on this weekend. And I think, Yvette, I saw on the website for ScholarShare that it's College Savings Month. And so if you open a new account with $1,000, they will give $100 to that account. So that's a really nice incentive to go ahead and do this now. Is there anything else you'd want to add for potential new subscribers to ScholarShare?
I do. And just to, the website is scholarshare529.com.
Oh, okay. My bad.
If you Google ScholarShare, it'll come up.
That's what I usually do.
But plus, I'm just going to close with this. If you don't know about them, join one of our webinars, find out how they work. There's a lot of benefits and features, some of the things that we didn't get to talk about today, but there's no time restriction, no age limitation, no income restriction. So anybody can contribute to them. Anybody can open it up. And it's just what I've seen is, and I see this in my own family, as I started opening up 529s, it really helped my nephews and nieces have clarity of, what choices they could potentially have after high school. And now that I've started the trend, I like to call it, of opening 529s for my nephews and nieces, my cousins, my aunts, everybody now has one for their children. And I think it's starting that whole culture bound, or that college bound culture in the family that we didn't have before. So it, again, education is power. Having, having that belief in that child that they could do anything they want, putting that 529 account into play, I think is really going to go a long way. There's a quote out there that says, even if you save $1 in a savings account and that child knows it's dedicated for college, the chances of them going is 7 times higher. So, it's all good. Find out, go to the website, join one of our webinars. I mean, that's the best way. No pressure, gives you an opportunity to learn all about the program. So,
Absolutely. So the website is scholarshare529.com. You can also check out the College Countdown website sponsored by ScholarShare, where you'll see some articles by your favorite counselors here at Bright Horizons College Coach. Yvette, thanks so much for coming on the show and talking us through this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about being working parents and not just saving for college, but also thinking about how to help with the application process. Don't go away.